Hi, everyone. How are you today? I hope all are fine and able to breathe. It's able to breathe for two reasons. One, lots of stress in the world, but also the terrible smoke from the horrific wildfires. And, I'm getting it here where I am under the woods. We're well protected here in the woods, but walk outside and you can smell, we could smell it the other day. Now I just see the cloudiness, but up in New York, it's pretty bad, I guess, and it's got to be even worse up in Quebec and Canada, different parts of Canada. Um, Blessings to everyone. So sorry that our world has to go through this. It is what it is. Okay, let's say hello. Hello, my dear friend, Annalika World. Happy Friday, Diana, she says, with flowers and beautiful leaves flying around. One of Piper's stories, which I've not yet put out, is about she was feeling bored because mom was working and she saw a leaf waving at her, and that just kind of started changing everything. So I love that, the flying leaf. Sheila says, hello, Diana and furry crew members. I love that. They are crew members, aren't they? Hope you are all doing fine. Finally, we have nice weather in Amsterdam and people are happy. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Amsterdam deserves good weather. You really do. We all do. And we all have those days, don't we, that are absolutely glorious. And then we have those days that aren't so great. Okay, what we're going to talk about today are spirit guides. And, it's the old who, what, when, where, why. But what was interesting is I thought, who, what, when, where, why, and how, the 5 W's and the H. And I said, am I still remembering that correctly? Because it's been a long time. And so I looked it up and it came out what, why, when, where, who, how, and how. So the 5 W's have changed orders. So I thought, well, I'm going with the new order of what, why, when, where, who, and how, rather than the order that I grew up with. And it was interesting because it needed to be the new order with Philip's question, or with what Philip said. The original questions came through. What is a spirit guide? Why do we need one? How do they help us? Do we have more than one? How do we contact them? How do we work with them? So we narrowed that down to the 5 W's and H, old journalism trick. Sheila says, I love your t-shirt. You are native Indian. Thank you. Here's my t-shirt. I think if you can all see it. My family, the genealogy of my family is Scottish, Irish, Scot-Irish, and Lenape. And there's a whole story, Lenape, which they were known in by the white people, shall I say, as Delaware, but they're Lenape or Lenape, depending upon where you're from, how you say that. They're both correct, I believe, but thank you. And Wolf has been with me for a long time. Wolf is one of my teachers. So I've been pulling my old t-shirts out that I never got around to giving away. I just kept a lot of them for some reason, and I'm pulling them out and starting to wear them. It's like they're back in style, so why not, right? So we talked to Philip about the spirit guides, and from Philip's books, the Master's Book of Answers by Philip, and as you know, just every page is a different wisdom, so we'll get our message, our psychic message for the week. So here we go. And look who's back there sound asleep. Lily's sleeping in the other room. She went through last weekend. She was quite ill Saturday. We spent a good bit of the day in the vet. She is fine now. It turned out just to be an upper respiratory infection, but she's doing fine. So thank you for all of you for being concerned. Okay, here we go with spirit guides, the W's and the H. And Philip starts out by saying, we shall follow your formula with the 5 W's and H. Very clever. What is a spirit guide? A spirit guide is an entity in spirit world who can guide you on your spiritual journey. This is your main guide or your communicator of which we speak. You also have multiple guides with whom you can work. You have a healer, a protector, and many more, all of whom you gather together while you were in spirit world before birth. I want to stop for a moment. The weekend workshop I do we always start learning to work with the main guide. I call him the communicator, as Philip does here, only because once you learn to work with that, that's easier. And the reason we have a communicator, if you stop and think, if you're standing around and a dozen people are talking to you, you don't really get any of them clearly. So if we have that communicator acting as the orchestrate, the conductor, the orchestra conductor, then we can hear each spirit guide clearly. The other thing I want to say that I didn't neglect is below I put the link to two different to a blog, my blog, and also, if you prefer reading, but also to a YouTube video on 5 steps to contact your spirit guide. So we don't go into that really in depth here, though that's a little more in depth on the other video. Or if you prefer reading, just click on the blog, and those links are posted below. Okay, Philip goes on to the next one, which is why. Why do you have a spirit guide? The same reason you have teachers and other helpers in your human life. When do you work with your spirit guides? When you're ready and when you're in need. Many of your guides are with you from before birth and stay throughout this lifetime, and possibly many more. Others enter your energy field as needed, and then they leave. And so Philip has been with me multiple lives, and others who work with me, maybe some of you, also Philip comes to them as well. So I have one of the women who has worked with me and over the years has become a good friend. Excuse me, my earring got caught up there. I had to undo it. She works with Philip, and I love this story. She asked Philip what the connection between the three of us was. And he said, well, this goes back into Druid times. He was the teacher, but she was the pretty, she and I were sisters, but she was the pretty one. So she had to get married, and I had to go study with him. And so we both think I was the lucky one. So anyway, marriage is great. I love marriage, but I'm glad I got to study with Philip. Still am. Okay, Philip goes on to say, where you work with your guide is up to you. When beginning, we suggest a quiet place where you feel loved and safe. Often the early morning hours will bring forth the communication. You know, it is said that around 4 to 4:30, 3 to 5, in that period of time, the veil between the worlds is the thinnest. And so that is the time they'll often wake us up and say, pick up your journal and just start writing. Who are your guides? The main guide, such as I am, Philip says, the one you call Philip, is someone you have known in at least one of your life experiences. This may be a teacher, as I am. Teachers work with those who are to be taught and to teach. Healers, for example, may work with a healer of a high level. Your main guide will be of a high level and guide you to fulfill your soul's contract. All other guides of your team are here to assist with specific situations, such as calling on the protector when in need. We do not care about names, but we know you do, so we accept we must give you a name to call us. You call me Philip because that comes closest to the name you can pronounce from our lifetimes together. I have to tell you how I got Philip's name. This goes back many, many years. I was working with a psychic at the time. I was getting a reading. And one of the questions I ask is, what is my spirit guide's name? And what he said to me, this tells you who Philip is too. He's a jokester. What he said to me is, I am the second name, or I am the second name in your name book. or I'm under P's in your name book. I don't remember exactly what he said. Probably I'm under P in your name book. Well, I knew a Peter, so I said Peter. And by the way, the name book is when I would write fiction, I would look through, it was a book of what names mean. So I said Peter, and Philip said, no, not Peter. So the next name was Philip, and that's how I got his name. That's how I named him. Okay, then we go on to how. How can you begin to work with us? Many begin with someone they love in this life who is moved into spirit world. This is acceptable. Others will begin with their Philip. This too is acceptable. Who you begin to work with is dependent on your own comfort level. There are only two requirements. The first is to simply ask and then listen. The second is to always work in love. By this we mean keep love in your heart and all will be well. We're going to get a message from Philip in a minute. I want to say, always say a prayer or just make sure you're working in love. And you can simply say, only love may come to me. If that's your prayer, that's enough. But if we're working with our guides and we're in anger, we're going to draw that energy to us. And that's not the guide you want. You want to always work in love and draw the energy of love to you. Sheila, oh, sweetheart, thank you. I am so grateful for your donations. I saw one and the old videos, by the way, still have the ads on them. I'm not sure how to take them off. I know the new way. I learned how to not have ads on the videos. And it did bring in a little bit of money. So thank you for your donation. I am deeply grateful. Let's get a message, shall we? And I highly recommend working with Philip or a guide that works with you. I'm hearing left. If you heard left, then we're in sync, and that's the message for everyone this week. If you heard right, that's a message you need to listen to specifically. It's for you. Okay, here we go. If you were created only to obey, would you not lack freedom? If you were created only to obey, would you not lack freedom? That's page 50. So, my friends, I think the message here that Philip wants us to get is Philip guides is our spirit guides. Don't tell us what to do. They guide us. That's why it's called a guide, not a spirit must listen to or dictator. There's the word. It's not a spirit dictator. It's a spirit guide. As humans, we make our own choices. We're the ones in charge of our lives. I like to say in charge of rather than in control, because I don't think we're in control of anything, but we are in charge of our lives. And if we want to say to our spirit guide, that doesn't work, give me something else to work with, or I'm going to do this instead, we're allowed to do that. So remember, if you were created only to obey, would you not lack freedom? That's everybody's message. So here we go. If you heard right, ask for limitations and they are yours. Ask for abundance and that too is yours. Ask for limitations and they are yours. Ask for abundance and that too is yours. That's page 51. My friends, Sheila says, thank you, Diana and Philip. Thank you, Sheila. And I'm so happy to have friends around the world. I so appreciate it. And those of you caught in the wildfires or caught in the smoke, please be extra careful. I think our California friends can tell us more. I can remember the smoke in the California wildfires when I lived there. And we learn more from that perhaps than those of us who aren't used to being in wildfires or near them. We're also, all of us, let's see the wildfires quieted, and let's see the rains coming. We can all pray for that. We can all visualize that. My friends, I love you. I am so grateful for your donations. I am so grateful for your love, and I am so grateful that you accept our love. Thank you. You make this so much easier for me than I make it on myself. It is so good for those of you who can come live. I really, really appreciate it. Sandra says, love and peace from Germany. And right back at you, my dear sister from Germany. I love finding out where people are from, and I love that we're international as well as across the US. And for all of those of you holding the US in your love and your prayers and in loving light, we thank you. We are going through a really rough spell right now, as you know. And indictments were brought down on the former president, which I personally am glad they were. I think they should have been, but we're in for a rough time. So keep us in your prayers, keep us in your hearts. Send us peace and love for the world as well as the US. Until next week, thank you. And check out those other videos, or that other video on 5 steps to contact your spirit guide, I think it is, or 5 steps to learn how to work with a spirit guide. Sorry, I forget now. But if you prefer reading, check on the blog. It's the same, I think it's the same information. But some of us like reading, some like visual. Thank you. Have a great week. See you then.